Hey everyone, I am Amala, owner of Amala's Delightful Kitchen Catering Services, and I am here today to just talk a little bit about starting a catering business. Let me tell you a little bit, I'm going to tell you all a little bit about my catering business. So I started about 5 years ago. We're located here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am originally from Boston, but I've lived in Atlanta for about 15 years now. So I guess you can call me a Georgia peach. But I love it here. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the weather. So I guess you can call me a Georgia peach. Yeah, I'm cool with that. So I've always been an entrepreneur, even since I was a child. You know, I used to braid my friend's hair. I used to sell purses. I used to do all kinds of things when I was in college. You know, I used to do hair to, make a little money on the side. So I've always had like that entrepreneurial spirit. I've been cooking since I was about 8 years old. One day I was in the kitchen and my mother said, "Hey, come in the kitchen with me." And I said, "For what, Mommy?" And she said, "I want you to watch me. I want you to watch me. I want you to look at what I do, how I do things, and I want you to learn how to cook." She was a really good cook, and my dad was a really good cook too. So I just kind of learned from there, and ever since I've been cooking. It's a passion of mine. I love it. It's my therapy. It's my fun. It's my hobby. So I decided to turn it into a business. So as I stated, I started my catering company about 5 years ago here in Atlanta. And it's been a blessing. It's hard work. It's had its ups and its downs. It's fun times. It's times of uncertainty, but I would not change it for anything. So we're on all social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, Amala's Delightful Kitchen. And I often get questions from people, aspiring business owners, aspiring chefs, caterers, etc., just asking questions about how do you get started? Because oftentimes with business, I think that's the toughest part. Well, that's one of the toughest parts. I'll say that's one of the toughest parts. Is just getting started. That initial, that initial effort that you have to put in to just get started. So I want to talk about that. So I've compiled some questions that I've gotten from other people, some frequent questions that I've gotten from people just asking, how do you get started? You know, what do you do? So the first question is, hold on, I'm sorry guys. This is like a one-man operation. I have to read the questions, look down. The first question is, how did you start your business? So I worked for a very large insurance company, and I actually was writing policies for businesses. I spent a couple of years doing that, and I was working with a lot of small businesses. Now, like I said, ever since I was a child, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So working with these small businesses really just gave me a lot of encouragement. You know, I worked with so many small businesses, nail salons, hair salons, restaurants, laundromats, just all types of different small businesses. And, you know, I said to myself, you know what? If they can do it, then I can do it. You know, it gave me that push because, you know, working for myself was always something that I wanted to do. But being there, I think the universe put me there because it really gave me that push, and it really gave me that inspiration to go ahead and do it myself. So I left that company and I started my catering business. I started my catering business a year prior to leaving my job. I wasn't bold enough to just go and just kind of hope that everything worked out. I wanted to kind of set a foundation for myself first, you know, get my feet wet, get some clientele, you know, make sure that I liked it, make sure that it was profitable. So I did that for about a year or so. And then once I saw that, hey, I got this, I can do this. You know, my food is amazing. My customer service is amazing. I have a strong business model. You know, I can take this somewhere. This can grow. I stepped out on faith and I went out and I just did it. Now, I'm not going to lie. That wasn't easy. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life, but I did it. So that's how I got started. A lot of times getting started is just getting started. You just have to do it. That's the hardest part. And then once you get in there and you get the hang of things, you'll get it. You'll get the hang of things. Okay, so the second question was, how did you approach your clients for the first time? Now, this is something that I always tell people who are entering the catering business. Start off small. That's so important. Don't come into it, with these grand ideas and, I'm going to start off with hundreds of clients and I'm going to be, because I think that with that, you'll burn yourself out very quickly. Just physically, in terms of, monetary, just start off small. Kind of do some practice runs, some test runs. I started off with friends and family. The first people I started off with was my immediate family. So, I would ask them, hey, are you having a baby shower? Oh, you're having a baby shower? Or, you're having an event? Let me cater it for you. Let me provide the food for you. And I also was able to get a lot of honest feedback by doing that, I was able to get a lot of critical, constructive criticism. People would tell me, okay, well, this tastes really good and this is really good, but you might want to change this, or you might want to offer this, or, so I did it was a lot of trial and error. And I started off small with friends and family, and it kind of grew from there. Because with catering, word of mouth is so important, and it's going to get you a lot of business. So when you start off with your friends and family, they tell someone, then that person tells someone, then that person tells someone. So initially you start off small, friends and family. As things pick up and grow, you make yourself some business cards and tell your family, hey, if anyone that needs a caterer, give them my business card. At your job, if your job needs some catering, give them my information. So that's what I would say about starting off initially, getting clients. Just kind of start off with your immediate circle. You'll be surprised how quickly it'll grow. The third question was, how many people did you start with on your team? Me, myself, and I. Really, it was just initially me. But like I said, I started off really small. I think one of the first things I did was my friend bought a house. And she was having a housewarming. And I said, where are you getting the food from for your housewarming? Let me cater, your housewarming. I'll give you a good price. The food will be delicious. Let me cater your housewarming for you. So she said, sure, and I told her, I'm starting a catering business and I would love for you to kind of be my guinea pig. I already knew how to cook, so, I wasn't making stuff killing folks. I didn't mean a guinea pig in terms of my food. I meant a guinea pig in terms of my business, actually catering, setting things up, presentation, the business portion of it, drafting a quote, sending it to someone, having them sign it. A guinea pig in terms of that. So that's what I did with that, and it was just me. Because initially the jobs were pretty small. Now, as I started growing, I got my family. So my sister joined my team, my mom joined my team. So oftentimes, we work together. When there's really large jobs, and we make it happen. We all know how to cook. As I explained, my mom is the one that taught me how to cook. So we all know how to cook, and everyone's good at different things, because business involves a lot of different things. You have to wear so many different hats. Sometimes you have to cook. Sometimes you have to be an accountant. Sometimes you have to be a lawyer. Sometimes you have to be even a therapist sometimes. So, we all have our different talents, and it's important to find people that have those strengths where you may not necessarily have them, but who are equally yoked with you in terms of the business, and they're as vested in the business as you, and you form that strong team. But again, start off slow. If it's just you in the beginning, that's fine. And as things grow, when you get bigger jobs, you can bring more people on. Okay, great question. Question number 4. How did you know what your clients would like on your menu? I didn't know. I didn't necessarily know. I knew that I knew what I liked to cook, and I know what I'm really good at cooking, and I know what I specialize in. So my catering company, our catering company, specializes in Caribbean food and soul food. Those are two types of cuisines that I'm really good at cooking and that I really love eating. So I just kind of went based on what do I love? What are my taste buds like? And, obviously you also have to consider where you are. What are the demographics where you are? What are people eating? What do people like? Because obviously you need a product that's going to be marketable. You don't want to, sell something in an area where it's just not going to sell. So I would advise people to do a little research on that. But here in Atlanta, we're in the South, we're in Atlanta, so I knew what I specialized in. I knew that my niche would be okay. So I just kind of created a menu based off of that. What are some popular things that a lot of people like? Jerk chicken. Everyone loves jerk chicken. A lot of people are familiar with it. I do Caribbean food, but not all Caribbean foods, because there's some things that people are just not familiar with. But jerk chicken is pretty popular. A lot of people know jerk chicken, plantains, things of that nature. So things that are just really good and delicious and flavorful that I know that a lot of people are familiar with and that they would enjoy. So that's just kind of how I did my menu. And like anything else with business, menus are trial and error. You may have a menu for a whole year and you see that there's one item on your menu that, it just doesn't sell. A lot of people don't order it. There's not a lot of interest in it. And okay, I can take this off and maybe put something else on. Because on the contrary, there might be something that is not on your menu that people often request. Do you have this type of pasta? Or, do you sell this type of chicken? And it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're like the 10th person that's requested that. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe that's something that I should consider adding to my menu. So menus are trial and error. You'll learn what sells, what people like, what's something that is a favorite for people, and you'll learn, okay, this not so much, this doesn't really sell. You'll just kind of learn that, and you'll know that'll dictate how you structure your menu. Okay, and the last question is, how did you go about choosing the right meals for your menu? Okay, with catering, I think that it's important to create a niche or a specialty. I'm not saying that you have to box yourself in and only create, you can actually be creative within that niche, but I think it's important to kind of have a direction, because if not, you will be all over the place. You'll be like a chicken with its head cut off. Because initially I was kind of like that, and I had to narrow it down and kind of focus. What am I good at? What type of food do I like? What do I enjoy cooking? So that's how I kind of was able to specialize and narrow it down to Caribbean food and soul food. So that's what I always advise people, and that's advice that I got too when I started. So, if you notice, a lot of caterers, they have specialties, whether it's Italian food or soul food, Caribbean food, Mexican food, Chinese food, barbecue. Usually they have some sort of niche, just like a restaurant. Restaurants, it can be bar food, American fare, whatever it is. And that will guide you in terms of how you will set up your menu. So if I specialize in in Caribbean food, more than likely you're not going to see tacos and fajitas on my menu. So it just kind of helps you narrow it down and to really zone in and focus. And then you can become really creative from there. Now, just because you specialize in a certain type of food, it doesn't mean you can't go outside of the box and step outside of your comfort zone. And then you can kind of incorporate and blend and do all sorts of things. I have on my menu jerk chicken and waffles. Now, chicken and waffles is a comfort food. It's a quintessential Southern comfort food. Jerk chicken is Jamaican. It is a Caribbean dish. But I blended the two together. So, you can have fun with your menu and do things like that. We have jerk shrimp bites, where we have 2 pieces of jerk shrimp on top of a cucumber, a piece of fresh cucumber. It looks beautiful. It would be really nice, a really nice hors d'oeuvre, like at a wedding, at a cocktail party. So we find ways to be creative and just kind of incorporate different things. Our niche is Caribbean food, but you can still be creative and find different ways to make it interesting and fun and, something that people look forward to tasting. So those are all of the questions. Those are some of the main questions that I've gotten, that I've answered. And I hope that it will help someone out there, and I hope that it was interesting for you all. We're going to post some more videos on YouTube just about catering, about food, whatever you all want to talk about, really. I'm here to talk about it. So make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications whenever we post videos. Yay! We're going to be posting cooking tutorials. If you're not following us already, follow us on Instagram. That is Amalas, AMAALAS_delightful, DELIGHTFUL_kitchen, KITCHEN. We post tutorials on there all the time as well. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you again. Adios. Bye-bye.